All right, welcome to Barack's Buddies, Part 1. The next three-part series is going to outline the relationship between Barack Obama and some of his buddies, some of his friends. And this video we're going to look at William Ayers, who is a convicted terrorist from the group called the Weather Underground. But before I go into this, I just wanted to point out something I heard breaking news today. It seems that 84 garbage bags full of American flags have been found in the dumpster at Invesco Field. This was following the Democratic Criminal Convention. And apparently they were found by some Boy Scouts and some other people. Not exactly sure how. All the details are still breaking on this. But apparently it was 84 garbage bags full of American flags found in the dumpster. Now I think that kind of relates to all of this because I'm one of those crazy conspiracy people that don't think it's a coincidence that Barack Obama has hung out with people that don't like America. And now here the Democratic Criminal Convention that goes on out there at Invesco Field, or it's been called Inresco Field, we find all these flags in the dumpster. I mean, would they have just thrown them away afterwards instead of maybe giving them out to people or something? Throw out the American flag? Well, I guess we're going to find out as the news breaks. So I just wanted to share my outrage on that. And without further ado, let's look into Barack's Buddies, Part 1. William Charles, otherwise known as Bill Ayers, was born in 1944. In the 1960s and 1970s, he was known as a radical activist and terrorist. In 1969, he co-founded the violent radical left organization called the Weathermen, which is lately has been referred to as the Weather Underground. He was active during the 1960s and 1970s with that group, and he was one of its top leaders. In an interview published in 1995, Ayers characterized his political beliefs at that time and in the 1960s and the 1970s. He said, quote, "I am a radical, leftist, small communist." And then he laughed. He says, "Maybe I'm the last communist who is willing to admit it." And he laughed some more. We have always been small communists in the sense that we're never in the Communist Party and we're never Stalinists. He says in the ethics of communism, they still appeal to him. He says, I don't like Lenin that much, but I like the early Marx. So, he's kind of like a Marxist. Now, in 2001, Ayers released a book. It was called Fugitive Days, in which he discussed participating in the bombings of New York City Police Headquarters in 1970 and the Capitol Building in 1971, and then the Pentagon in 1972. Certainly got to love this guy. William Ayers was asked in January 2004, "How do you feel about what you did? Would you do it again under similar circumstances?" He replied, quote, "I've thought about this a lot. Being almost 60, it's impossible to not have lots and lots of regrets about lots and lots of things. But the specific question of did we do something that was horrendous and awful?" He says, "I don't think so. I think what we did was respond to a particular situation in the way it needed to be responded to." Unquote. William Ayers was tapped by Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley to help find the Chicago Annenberg Challenge, a school reform program. Since 1999, he has served on the 9-member board of directors of what's called the Woods Fund of Chicago, which is an anti-poverty foundation established in 1941. Bill Ayers' contacts with the 2008 Democratic nominee for president, Barack Obama, are controversial because the two served together on the Woods Fund board from 1999 until Obama left in 2002. Ayers had other contact with Obama as a resident of Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood. He hosted Obama's first fundraising reception in his first Illinois State Senate campaign in 1995. They appeared on education panels together, and William Ayers even donated $200 to Obama's campaign in April of 2001. See, I mean, you got to ask yourself, what is what is he doing with this guy? I mean, he's a known terrorist, and Barack's like, "Oh, here, let me launch my campaign in your house." I don't understand this. Now, Barack Obama and this unrepentant terrorist, Bill Ayers, have worked closely together on education reform since 1995. It's kind of scary what kind of education they're working on here. And possibly even since 1987, from what I understand. Obama has minimized the association in his public statements and on his website. So why the cover-up, Barack? I mean, we don't really know what's going on since we're not sure what's being concealed. There's something becoming known as the Annenberg Challenge cover-up, and it's become big news since the McCain campaign highlighted in a press release late Wednesday. In the past few days, Stanley Kurtz of the National Review has been trying to get access to the archives of the Chicago Annenberg Challenge, which is an education reform group co-founded by the terrorist William Ayers in 1995 and has been chaired by Barack Obama from 1995 to 1999. Then originally giving Mr. Kuntz permission, the library told him that he could not proceed with seeing the files that he wanted because they didn't have proper authorization from the donor of the archives. They would not identify who this donor was, but then of course they later assured Mr. Kurtz that they hoped to conclude an agreement to make the documents available soon. And question is again, why the cover-up? This is what we know. William Ayers was a leader of the Weather Underground, a violent radical student group of the 1960s. His father, Thomas Ayers, was a prominent Chicago business leader who served as an advisor to Mayor Richard J. Daley, father of the current Chicago mayor. Now, of course, you're all familiar with the, Chicago politics, the Chicago political machine. There's been a lot of corruption surrounding the Daley family for years and years and years. So just the fact that Barack Obama is tied closely with them makes me concerned about what his aim and what his goal is now. Now, although he is not apologetic about his terrorist past, this is William Ayers, and had the bad luck to be quoted as saying in an interview that ran after September 11th, he said, quote, "I don't regret setting the bombs. I feel we didn't do enough," unquote. Bill Ayers has been accepted back into the Chicago political community and has been an informal advisor to Mayor Daley on education reform, of course. But regardless of his cachet in the liberal circles of Chicago politics, the presidential candidate Barack Hussein Obama has not been eager to explain his own relationship with Bill Ayers. In fact, published reports from February 2008 gave a glimmer of their ties. See, in 1995, Ayers hosted a fundraiser for Obama prior to Obama's run for Alice Palmer's seat in the state Senate. They both served on the board of the Charitable Woods Fund of Chicago from 1999 to 2002. And again, William Ayers, the terrorist, bombed the Capitol, the Pentagon, police stations in New York, donated $200 to Obama's state Senate campaign. Now, of course, Republicans have had donations to them that they probably had wished didn't come in because of, connections, so I can understand that. But what we're talking about here is Obama's ongoing relationship with this guy, serving on a board with him, holding a fundraiser in his house. This guy bombed the Pentagon, he bombed the police stations in New York, he bombed the Capitol building. And he thinks they should have done more. I mean, I don't know why. Why did you even associate with someone like that? I certainly wouldn't. So, but anyway, all these things that were going on, it was more than Obama was even willing to admit. When he was asked point blank by George Stephanopoulos in the Philadelphia debate preceding the Pennsylvania primary, he said, "Can you explain the relationship for the voters, this relationship with, William Ayers?" Obama pretended he scarcely knew him. Obama said, quote, "This is a guy who lives in my neighborhood, who is a professor of English in Chicago, who I know and who I have not received, an official endorsement from. He's not somebody who I exchange ideas from on a regular basis." But it was left to Hillary Clinton to remind Obama of his service with Ayers on the board of the Woods Fund in Chicago. The next day, the Obama campaign posted at their website a fact check, quote unquote, purporting to explain the relationship. Other reporters had been told that Bill Ayers lives in his neighborhood. Their kids attend the same school. They were being left with the impression that Ayers and Obama had first met in the 1995 fundraiser. Problem is, we know that he was friends with him even prior to that. So the question is, what else is missing? And my question is, who knows? So that's a little bit on William Ayers. As you can see in this photo, you got a picture of William Ayers standing on the American flag. This is what he feels about America. And Barack Obama has associated with this guy, served on a board with him for not just, a couple of days and found out he was a bad guy, but for years and years. So, and then you add to that the whole Jeremiah Wright situation where Jeremiah Wright talked about how bad this country is. You add to that Michelle Obama saying that she's proud only for the first time of this country and that America is a downright mean, ugly place. You got to ask yourself, who is Barack Obama? Do you know enough to elect Barack Obama.